All right, we're going to go just straight live this morning. No intro video, no nothing. We are hot at the Bead Maker and Coffee event with Sydney and her mod. And well, welcome to kind of the alternate location. We are where, Sydney?
We are in a hotel in Las Vegas. And look, we have matching eyes behind us.
It's a little disconcerting, I think, when you get up in the morning, but it is what it is. And why are we here is the big question, and what's going on. So, you want to tell them?
So when we planned this, right? So we talked about this 2 weeks ago. We planned that we would be coming off of a meeting in Vegas, and that's why we moved it from Monday to Tuesday. And so, fortunately, this morning we have extra special guests with us this morning that we'd like to bring on that are also here in Vegas with us. So let's bring them on.
And there they are.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Coffee, right?
Yes. Yeah. All right. We have the Phillips brothers in the house.
Yeah, we went straight shock therapy. No intro music. No nothing. Just straight at it.
The countdown. We don't get nothing.
Nothing. We just went straight live.
You are live.
Good morning, guys.
We're all in our hotel rooms with the eyes, except for Dave, right?
Yeah, but you know what I'm noticing now is they're different eyes.
Oh yeah.
They're not the same.
Yeah, yours are like more friendly, Sydney.
I was gonna say, I think mine are a little younger and a little less angry.
Bob's are rather mysterious or malevolent. Yeah, those are scary eyes.
I've got eyes.
Oh, there you go. I think you have the same girl that Keith does.
Careful how you say that in the Vegas hotel room.
So funny. All right. Well, it's early here this morning, so thanks, guys, for joining us. So what are we doing here?
Well, we had HEG hosted a sales meeting. So yesterday we had a sales meeting all day. We got in on Sunday, went out for a nice team dinner at a barbecue here at the hotel, and then did sales meeting starting at 8 yesterday, ended at what, 6:15, something like that. Yeah. And then went out to a really incredible dinner here at the hotel. Yeah. And then I think we all turned in about 9:30.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In the comments.
It was a full day. It was a good day, but it was a full day. We had a lot going on. There's some cool stuff, I think, for 2025 on the tap. I mean, I don't think there's any major programs to announce, but I'm excited that we've got a lot going on for 2025, and it's going to be, I think, a fast-paced, exciting year for Team PNS.
Well, I also think the thing that was unique is that it's our second time. So the last time, you remember, the first sales meeting was basically on the 15th, and PNS had just sold, so we were like, the newbies, and now we're still kind of new, but we're not quite as fresh as we were last year. So and then it's just great. We know everybody better, so I think the sales meeting was extremely productive, and it's great to see. We don't get to see everybody. We don't get to see all the reps. We don't hear about their successes and failures and all those things. And that's what yesterday was really about. Recap, kind of setting goals for 2025 for sales and products and marketing. And so, it was a great day yesterday.
Yeah, it was super good. It was good to see everybody for sure. It was productive. And now what's up today, Keith?
Well, we're going to go see a few of our partners, future and current partners here in Las Vegas. So that's kind of fun. I don't really want to announce where we're going because I don't want them to feel like they're on the spot, because these were just site visits to say hello. And for you, since we were in town, we decided to do it. But so that's what we're doing. You guys, Bob, Dave, you guys are going home today because we had a holiday at the shop yesterday. So today everybody's back at work. And what have you guys got going for the week? Anything fun?
I know we're hopping on a plane at 10 o'clock. We'll probably be in PNS about 1. That's Dave's back to work. He's been off since last Wednesday. So he'll be back to work. Yeah. We're still kind of, I don't know, the first month of the year is always, hard to get going. So we're still kind of, I think, digging out of our holiday funk. A lot going on. We're busy.
Yeah. And so
it does look like a busy beginning.
Yeah. So we, I forgot we have not been back on here since Keith and I were in Hayward last week. So We were there for 3 days of training, which was awesome. And then, Dave, we won't share too much with everyone, but you've kind of been back at it, mixing stuff up, and you've got a bunch of stuff that's in the testing phase, which is super fun. So hopefully we'll see some of that here in the next couple months, as always, but that's been a good time. We got to play with several things while we were there.
Yeah.
That was always fun.
No, it's been great. I love, this is a great time of year when we have new plans and new ideas, and so I can kind of get back working on some of the new things. And it's great to, it's great to have. I'm going to say there, rough products. They're not finished. We're not fine tuning them. We're kind of working from scratch again. So it gives me a little chance to try a bunch of different things. I think that's very interesting to see what works and what doesn't work. And you learn some new tricks along the way. So I enjoy it.
Yeah. So that was fun. And then next week we are all heading to Orlando, right?
Yeah. Mobile Tech Expo.
Yeah.
The travel schedule is in full swing day one of the year. I mean, we'll go 3 straight weeks with going somewhere, doing something, which is always cool because one of our favorite things is to engage with our customers and our partners. And we are certainly going to do that this year. I mean, we have to talk about favorite product of the week, I guess, the last week. And, what have we been working on? I think you're the only one who's worked on a car, Sid. So I'll start with you. What was your product and what did you work on last week?
So I'm going to take a little different take on this because, I have lots of different favorite products, and I know that I've already said both of these, but I have to say them again because, I think we all know that Delaney works with me, and, she's been doing details on her own for quite some time, but she's never really jumped into the ceramic coating. She wants to, but she did not want to do paint correction. And so I've never let her have any part of the coating because you got to do the not so great part to do the great part, right? And so finally on Saturday, she wanted to help me, which was nice because I don't normally work on Saturdays. And so she came home from college and was like, I want to help you. I want to do half of it. And, she's been through several coating classes, and I mean, she knows how to use a polisher. She just doesn't enjoy it. But what I thought was so cool just watching her though was, because she's not someone who has picked up a polisher on any kind of regular basis, and, really paid attention to what she was doing. And she, so I'm going to say rehab and stout for this reason is I was able to literally hand her the polisher, with stout. She did the entire half the car. She did the entire passenger car, the whole hood, and both polishing and then paint prep, putting the coating on. So she got to use stout for the first time. And literally, like, I didn't find a single area I had to go back over on either the polishing or the coating. And what I think is cool about this is it is kind of a testament to how good the products are, because you can literally put them in someone's hand who doesn't have day after day experience, so it kind of just helps with, well, did the product work because I use it every day? And so, so it was cool to see, and she loved it. She thought it was so great. And the feedback that she got from rehab gave her so much confidence in doing paint correction. So I thought that was super, super cool. So I just have to give a shout out to that whole system again. I know I sound like a broken record, but rehab and stout, dang.
Is dang a detail term? It is.
I don't know, but that's what I was saying.
Right?
Like that.
Dang.
Yeah. So
amazing.
The beauty is, I mean, and we had the same result on Monday when we had our special distributor coating class at PNS last week, and when we had our regular, detailer coating and paint correction class. And we even did paint correction on Tuesday in the all-in class, and same result with stout. I mean, and we get a very good variety of students in those classes, some who are very experienced, some who first time with a polisher. And it is great to see the feedback in that they get a result and that they feel like they accomplished something and they had a positive experience. So I gotta agree. I mean, those two products have just been a win-win. It's like layering success on success. So it was just great.
Yeah. Love it.
So did you guys have a product for last week?
I mean, I used a product last week. I know it's shocking that you guys think I actually use products, but I do.
Wow.
You bougie detailers think you guys do all the work, right? It's like, yeah, I still detail my own car. No, I'm just a huge, Odyssey is an amazing tire dressing. I love that product. I use it, quite often. So that was really the main product that I use, last week in my own driveway was Odyssey. So I love the way that works on tires. I think it's a great dressing. So, yeah.
And I'm a little odd because I don't think I have used a PNS product in a week. I mean, it's like, wow, that's a shock. It really is. And then the ones that I was using before were all, trial and error products. So, I'm a little lost for what my recent. I'm trying to remember what the last product was. It was probably Defender in my kitchen.
Well, Dave, I'm going to pull the Tom Brady thing out when he was asked what his favorite Super Bowl was, and he goes, the next one. So I think your product of the week was the next one, right? What you're working on the next one. So
yeah, I'm always tempted to do that, and it's really fun when we're in development, to go, oh, I found something really cool, and you got to throw all that other stuff away. No.
Yeah. So should we go to a little bit of comments, Sid? Or
we got lots of comments coming in. Yeah.
So lots of good mornings. We'll kind of run through those, and I'll let Sid kind of take it away.
Good morning, everyone. Well, while we're flushing through the good mornings, what are we most looking forward to at MTE? So that's Mobile Tech Expo Orlando, for those who don't know. Anything you guys are looking forward to? Dave, you're coming this year.
I know. It's rare. Yeah. So that's cool.
That'll be fun.
Get to see everybody and partake in the booth and that sort of stuff. It'll be cool.
I think I'm most excited. I mean, obviously I'm excited to see everybody. I love MT. It's one of my favorite events of the year, but I think that I'm most excited is I've heard from so many detailers that this will be their first year. So that I think is so cool. I love when people get to experience an industry event for the first time. And I think MTE is just so great because of the, training day is so great. And then they get more one-on-one time at the booths, right? It's a little bit different vibe than SEMA. So I'm just excited at how many detailers are coming for the first time and their first industry event. So, that excites me just, to kind of live vicariously through them.
Can I comment on Joseph's
friends too? So I'm excited about that.
Can I comment on Joseph's -41?
Yeah.
My wife's from Minnesota. She moved to California.
Is that a hint, Dave?
Brainerd is so interesting because I visit there and hang out with her family a little, and so you hear all these names on the radio and stuff. So I'm familiar with some of the places, so it's pretty cool. I enjoy the places in Minnesota, but -41. I think I was there once when it was -37 though.
That seems
my looking forward to is this comment and the next one we're not going to have this weather. We're going to have 70 degrees in Orlando next week, so I'm excited for that. So Joseph Winch, man, you got my sympathy. Kirby has got snow in Houston.
That is crazy. Close to a few inches of snow. Now, is Houston, are they prepared for that? Do they have snow plows and stuff?
No.
Just
no.
I guess they got snow in New Orleans yesterday as well.
They have snow right now. I got a photo of it already.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. That is crazy.
They got snow right now. The thing is, I was saying yesterday is, the airports don't have things like de-icing machines and that sort of stuff. So they don't have any of the equipment that they need for this sort of thing.
Yeah.
So, when you're in a snowy place, you kind of give them a bad time, they can't even handle a little snow. But the problem is they just, it's safety first.
Yeah.
And they just have to, and you got pilots landing on runways that ordinarily aren't cold and slippery, and it makes a big difference.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the flyovers down there in Texas are no joke. They're 200, 300 feet in the air, and they ice up. And so if you're driving in Texas, don't drive today.
That's crazy.
Hey, here's one.
Stilly's mobile detailing. Hello,
And he
hello,
was in our class this week. So it was last week, both our classes. So it was great to have him there and finally get to meet him in person. It was awesome.
Yeah. Andy, tell us what you thought of the class now that you've gotten home and got back to work. All right. Amber says, good morning, everyone. Grinding coffee and boiling water for my daily pour over. That sounds awesome. I've seen that. Like my father-in-law used to do that. I'm sure it's good, but it's
quality coffee.
Yeah, it looks like it.
Well, if you need some fresh ground beans, you can hit us up. We do have whole bean coffee at PNS.
Yeah. That just sounds like it should be illegal.
I can't imagine. Mine is 41. That just sounds like a bad day.
Yeah.
You got to stay home on that day. Right?
Where antifreeze is, so.
Yeah. Oof.
Yeah.
Crazy. Steve Pearson, good morning. Good morning, Mike's Auto Detailing.
Hey, friend of the show, Sarah.
Yeah. Morning. Sarah, are you coming to MTE? I think she said she is, if I remember right.
Yeah.
Gary, on the road, but made it. Hello. Be safe.
Jeff Katz is with us. It's awesome.
Yes. Yes. Jeff, are you going to be at MTE? Steve Pearson, yes. The hotel walls. Yeah.
Yeah, we're definitely under scrutiny today.
A little crazy. Yeah. Yes, we have the full crew this morning.
Yeah. So guys, if you got questions, chime in. Let's hear what your questions are. We don't get too many times where we have Dave on twice in a month. So
yeah.
Now is the time to ask the questions.
Phillips Brothers are in the house. Amber, Phillips Brothers, what a great treat.
Yes. I actually think I talked to Amber this past week, believe it or not.
Yes, I think she mentions it later. Yeah. Bob's eyes are a little angry. Bob's Wall's eyes are scary. It's a good thing, Bob, that we're having this right before you're leaving so that now the eyes don't freak you out the rest of the time you're in your room.
Exactly. Yeah.
Andy, Bob, I'm liking the idea of doing a setup show barbecue at Hayward HQ.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we know that Stephen will get out the grill and cook. We know that. So.
Yep. Frank saying, that was actually first from Puerto Rico saying, good morning, Bradley. So Bradley will be at MTE. He's one of the first timers.
Nice.
That'll be fun.
Well, come by the booth. So if you're looking for us, we're booth 905. You come in the main doors, you hang a right, you go down a couple aisles, and we're right there on the end cap. We've got a huge booth this year, so love to see everybody. Everybody's welcome to come and hang out and connect with Team PNS. We want to see you at the booth if you're coming to Mobile Tech.
Yep.
I'm smiling, Keith, because I'm thinking about our booth as it's traveling across the U.S.
I know
with the snow. Given our odds last year that our booth was in a fire.
Yeah.
And so you guys, you may be visiting us on a sheet of carpet. So
right.
Well, we're going to go from Smoky Joe to Snow Joe. Is that what you're saying?
Snow Joe, yeah, exactly.
Snow
Joe.
Well,
hopefully it's moving fast, but I got a feeling it's probably.
We could do a new thing. We could look like sports commentators standing in the middle of a room, just doing our thing.
Wearing gloves and hats.
Yeah, something.
We'll have to get like a green screen or something.
It always cracks me up when you see the sportscasters at like the freezing cold game and they're outside. I'm like, really? You guys should be in the store.
Yeah, right.
It's kind of like the weatherman standing in the middle of a puddle telling you that it's raining.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. So Steve says, when will we know about these new things?
Kind of have a date.
Yeah. Yeah, right around the 1st of April. So as most of you know, we always release new products at TRCMA, and we will be there again this year. We don't have for sure dates that we can release on what day we'll be yet, but we'll obviously be on that week. And so you'll just have to tune in and wait for their schedule to come out. But we will definitely, we've got some new stuff on its way, right? We don't know how many or
You know, the finish line seems to, you're kind of like you're approaching the finish line for a long time on products, which is interesting.
Yeah.
It's just like they just kind of like keeps getting pushed out a little bit because, you want to get it right.
Yeah.
You want to have all your ducks in line for sure. And it's hard to get that. And we kind of miss the mark getting everything ready to go sometimes. So, it just makes it, more and more a goal for us to do. So it's good. It's good to have it ready.
Yeah. We'll make it.
We're going to make it. Yep.
So Steve, first part of April, whenever TRCMA is.
Right.
Amber says, about a week ago, I was set to polish plexiglass for the first time, and I had Clarity Cream and 3D1, and I wasn't sure what to do. I called PNS, and Bob took the call. He gave me great advice.
So, Bob, what advice did you give her so everybody else can benefit?
Well, it was interesting because, I asked what she had in her arsenal. And she says, well, I have Clarity Cream. I go, yeah, don't use Clarity Cream on plexiglass. It'll scratch the heck out of it. And then she had 3D1. And I said, all right, well, that'll do the job. And I just walked her through maybe the pads, what she should use. It sounds like the plexiglass was pretty damaged. She had some deep scratches. So she used, I believe, if I recall, at the end, we kind of summarized that she used an Oreo pad to kind of do the correction side and then switch out to a soft foam with 3D1 to finish. So she used one for both steps, but just did kind of a cutting and then a polishing step. And it sounded like it came out pretty good. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. Cool.
Very cool.
And we would ordinarily recommend
UCP 1987.
That's right.
Nice.
Our favorite plexiglass polish.
Ultra coat polish is always the answer. Yes.
But, she had a product within the family, so I figured I'd take the win with that.
All right. Going through some more good mornings here. It's great to see everybody on. Did anybody catch that there's now a Miami Joe? Was I the only one that saw that?
No, I saw Miami Joe. Josh is here. I see him in the comments. You're funny. Andy Ott. I got an Escalade V, Acadia, and a Silverado in the shop today and getting ready to do that combo right now. Rehab and stout.
There you go.
Happy.
Yep. Awesome.
Just got to pick the right pad and off you go.
Yep. All
Hey,
right. Hans says, hello, people. So do you know where Fat Joe is now? I think is what he means. I know where Fat Joe is now. Do you guys know?
Well, I know where one Fat Joe is.
Well,
I think they keep multiplying.
Yeah. I know where one Fat Joe is. He's sitting next to a bottle of Woodford Reserve on my shelf.
Those are the two original Fat Joes. I think we got to tag the original Fat Joes.
Yeah, probably.
Because now there's track
Fat Joes showing up all over the place.
Yeah.
We're going to have to get an air tag for them, but it's almost like Santa Tracker now. When we go do an event, we got to put the tracker on Fat Joe so we know where he is going across the country.
So is Smokey Joe?
That would be fun.
We have Smokey Joe.
No, Smokey Joe's with me because he's kind of the road Joe. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. We washed him. We did clean him up, so he got a bath at one point. Yeah.
It's so wrong.
Jeff says, new nickname for rehab. Dang.
Dang. I need some dang. Give me some ding dang.
Or as one famous detailer said, I'd date that. Right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yep.
Will she be at Mobile Tech? Yes, she will, right? Yeah.
Yeah, she gets there Tuesday. They do that class on Wednesday. There's classes on Wednesday too.
Yes, there are more than just theirs. So that's going to be great. Yeah.
Alan Medcraft. Hey team.
Good morning.
Yeah.
We always love MTE because we get to see our great friend Alan Medcraft. But as everyone knows, he is officially on Team ATG this year, right? Yeah. So that's been fun. We've gotten to see him a little bit more this year, but we get to see him in a couple weeks. So, in a week. Jeez Louise, time just goes by so fast. And the sun is up. It's crazy.
And the sun is out. Yeah. We all opened our curtains today because Dave said, "Hey, I'm going to get a great view and the sun's going to come up." So we all opened our curtains for the first time. And
So this is a great question for Dave. So Frank says, if rehab freezes, will it be okay when it thaws out?
Yes, it should be. It is stable through one freeze thaw cycle for sure. If you start doing it multiple times, you may start having it separate. As long as you maintain the viscosity, if it shakes back together and you end up with a lotion product, but you'll start seeing if you do it too many times, it'll get too thin, it'll spray all over the place, and it won't work then. But through one freeze thaw cycle, it should be fine.
Nice.
Dave, let's open that can of worms a little bit further. Generally, for product, is that true for most products? And is there any that you just go, if it freezes, it's a
yeah, good question. So most your soaps, general purpose cleaners, shampoos, that sort of thing, they could freeze over and over and over. It really won't make much of a difference. Dressings are particularly susceptible to freezing. And they're usually good through one freeze thaw cycle. Instant detailers are even more susceptible to freezing. So some of them will make it through a freeze thaw cycle and some of them won't. So you got to be pretty careful about those. Obviously solvent-based products, they won't freeze. A lot of the things like crystal wash and that sort of stuff, it won't freeze. They just have too many salts in them. Because technically speaking, an acid is not a salt, but it is an ionic sort of thing. So it would be, it would severely reduce the freezing temperature of the product. Also, a lot of the general purpose cleaners would have trouble freezing depending on how much solids is in them and that sort of stuff. So the thing you want to worry about, I think the most is the instant detailers.
Good to know.
So paint gloss, crystal wall, paint gloss, Bead Maker, Dream Maker, all those. Right. Those don't do well. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Defender.
If they stay cloudy, they're fine. If they turn clear, they're not fine anymore.
Okay. Very good. Very good. All right. Frank says, looking forward to seeing everybody at MTE. First from Puerto Rico, ready for MTE next week.
Nice.
Amber, the plexiglass is still scratched, but I can see through it, which was not the case before I polished it. So thank you, Bob. Plexiglass is hard. I don't know that you ever get a perfect result out of scratched plexiglass.
So I've seen the Air Force polish the plexi canopies, which is a different kind of plexiglass.
Yeah.
On the jets, they literally have sanded them and then they go through a full polishing phase. And I'm sure with deeper scratches, you probably could have done that, Amber, but is the juice worth the squeeze? And you need a lot more resources and space to be able to do that. So
is the juice worth the squeeze? I know where you got that statement. That's a Nathan Iverson comment statement.
Well, we may have
yeah. That's definitely his. That's definitely
that is his thing. Yes.
That's a spinoff. Yeah.
Sarah, we're not coming to Chicago. We'll see you at Mobile Tech.
That just sounds awful. Jeez Louise.
Well, I still remember when I went to Northern Warfare School, the instructor comes out and it's January in Alaska. And he's got this frozen jar of antifreeze. And he goes, I don't care what you've ever been told. It gets cold enough, stuff freezes. Everything freezes. And I'm like, that sounds like that's that kind of weather. I don't want to go there.
Yeah. All right. Alan says, I'm so excited to be at MTE. It's the energy booster and kickstart for the year for me. Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. Steve, I can't wait. MTE will be my first big detailing event. I'm in countdown mode. That's so great. I love it.
Yeah. And Team TNS will be there for both the education day and the show. And we've got kind of a series of events going on. So we'll talk a little more about those as we get into the show. So we are going to be there in full force as Team PNS.
All right. Can we expect any new products at MTE, or are you keeping them for TRCMA? Definitely keeping them for TRCMA. We have some new products. I guess we have the refined towel, right?
Everything that we released at SEMA and
we'll have everything that we had at SEMA, but then otherwise the only kind of new thing is we have a new drying towel that's real cool. that we'll have one there. But product wise, TRC.
Reflect will be, Reflect is officially out now. So yeah.
Yeah, we're kind of in a very, I won't say comfortable, we're now kind of in a cycle, and just so everybody kind of expects this from us, you'll probably see us do new products twice a year for sure, which would be TRCMA, and then, kind of a lead up to SEMA is kind of a cycle that we'll be on for this year for product development. It doesn't mean we're going to only have a couple products. It just means we're going to have a couple release zones in the year for those.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. So Kirby says both airports in Houston are closed today, as well as schools and businesses. That is just crazy.
Hey, 4-day weekend in Houston. Nice.
Yeah. I feel like my time must be coming because I actually live in a snow town and it has been dry and 40 degrees. And so, the whole month of January, I've been like, what is going on? And now everyone else is getting hit. And now it makes me think that my days are numbered.
Well, Portland was just cold. It was freezing, basically 32 every day, which is a little chilly for us. We usually get a little warmer and a lot more rain, and we have not had rain. So I think when we get our rain, you're getting your snow, Sid.
Yeah, gosh, -16. That just all sounds awful.
Yeah. So Christopher Todd Robertson is with our partner DSI in Minnesota. Can't wait to see you at Mobile Tech, Chris. It's going to be awesome. -16 sounds like no fun.
Yeah. Gosh. Yeah, can't wait for Orlando. I hope it's warm.
Well, now my experience from visiting in the winter is that it's -16 outside, but it's 80 degrees inside, and you're wearing your shorts and t-shirts.
Yeah.
And then if you want to go get your mail, you put on your suit,
right?
You run out, get the mail, and you come back. So
yeah, gosh, that sounds.
But you're kind of stuck inside.
Yeah.
Han says TRC EU and Gabriel both have Fat Joe's now because he has sent them one. So Hans is a dealer of Fat Joe's.
So I just want to know, do our Fat Joe's in Europe wear European clothes? What do they look like?
Well, mine didn't come with any clothes on.
Wow. Colorado's not warm either.
Gosh, Jeff, no MTE. Oh, bummer.
Oh, man. Hey, TRCEU, check it in. Patrick, great to see you.
Get in. Good morning. First from Puerto Rico. Got to send you guys some heat. 85 degrees and 74% humidity here. Okay. I could do without the humidity.
Oh, 74% humidity is great.
Ugh, that sounds awful.
It's not, I don't think that's a lot of humidity at 85 degrees. It's pretty pleasant.
Well, if you're on an island in the Caribbean, I guess it's probably pretty good. So, yeah.
Yes, Angela, good morning, go Birds. Yes, they're still in it. Man, some big teams eliminated this weekend, right?
Yeah. And she's obviously talking about the Eagles. So
yes. Sarah, how many new products do you think that PNS will come out with this year? And can we get some hints on what they are? Dave.
Well, this is a marketing thing. I don't think I'm allowed to talk about marketing.
How many new products do you think you'll make this year?
I think we've got. Well, shoot. I mean, hey, Bob, we can hear you typing.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah. I think. Well, we've got kind of a couple of groups of products, as we do have some products being developed for specific customers, and then we have our own products being developed. Mm-hmm. So I would say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, like 6 for us. I mean, some of them more impactful than others.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking, like 6 or 7.
Yeah.
And no, we can't give you any hints.
Well, and in part we can't give you any hints because we kind of have an idea for TRCMA what we're targeting.
Oh yeah.
But what happens to us throughout the year is we come across an opportunity to create a new idea or find a new market space. So I'm willing to bet there will be a product at SEMA that we didn't even have in discussions until after TRCMA. So, which is always cool with the product development side. I think it's going to be great. So.
Yeah.
I love getting like requests, people telling me what's missing, what's needed.
Mm-hmm.
Some of the best ideas come from that for sure.
Yep. All right. And then we got Josh Pierce in the house, Mr. Fat Joe himself. Good morning, Team PNS. Can't wait to make some memories at MTE next week.
Yeah.
Gabriel, good morning, Bob, Dave, Keith, and Queenie.
Oh, Chris M.
Have you ever toyed with adding iron remover to Breakbuster and calling it Breakbuster Plus?
No.
There you go.
No, I mean, and it's because when you really get down to the cleaning, the Iron Buster really just adds some extra iron removal. I think the actual detergency and cleaning is very similar between the two products. So in my opinion, adding Iron Buster to Brake Buster kind of just makes it smell more. You can get really good cleaning out of Iron Buster as well, right? I mean, so you put it on the wheel and you do a little bit of brushing, and it does a really nice job. I think the only thing you really kind of miss is the tire, with Iron Buster. I'm not sure, adding Iron Buster to the tire process would even Brake Buster would help that much anyway.
So here's another great question.
It doesn't hurt the product though,
no.
Which is kind of interesting.
So this is a great question. Also I'll read, how do you benchmark / test your coatings? Longevity is very subjective, and are there any other critical metrics that we should understand? And I think, the coating game in general has a lot, just such a wide variety of promises. And sometimes you wonder, is it marketing hype? Is it scientifically proven? We've done kind of both the intuitive and the lab testing, Dave. So kind of, Bob, what's your guys' thoughts on this?
Yeah, I mean, when you start looking at, at your numbers, right? And so we are intentionally typically a little bit vague on that because it depends on how you take care of your car. Some cars wouldn't take much of a coating to last forever. But so we do accelerated weather testing. We do stress testing. So we do acids, we do alkalinity, we do scratch testing. We test, and then what you're looking for in those cases is, changes in the refractive index, changes in the surface tension, so changes in the beading, and then we have to guesstimate to a certain extent. You take a coating that has some longevity tests, some actual real world testing, and you go, hey, well, this one's lasting 4 years. You compare it to that one side by side in an accelerated or a stress test situation. You go, oh, well, this one's lasting twice as long. So do you jump to the thing, say it'll last 8 years? Probably not, but you say it will last longer.
Yeah. Yeah, we go through all the check boxes. So, I mean, yeah, Dave does all the ones in the lab. I do a lot on the road, try to damage them, right? So yeah, generally speaking, if they can survive in Idaho, that's a big one. The roads are really hard on coatings in Idaho, just all the environmental stuff. And so that's definitely on there. And so we have a checkboxes of things that, we look for as a team in coatings and what they have to, tests they have to pass. And, I mean, it's even ease of use, how immediate the results are, things like that. And then obviously we do all the stress testing on the background. And, I thought it was interesting, and I know we've shared this, that we went through this whole process last year of trying to perfect our coating, right? And the other day, I don't normally wash my car with foam, right? And I thought it was so interesting because my Jeep is like a test bed. There's different iterations of coatings all over that car. And what I thought was so interesting is I did a wash with foam the other day, and it was so crazy how different panels were literally so different with the foam sitting on them. And some, the foam wouldn't stick, some it stuck like shaving cream. And it was really interesting for me. And I actually learned a lot from that wash because I actually took the time to sit and watch what the products did on the surface. And it's been, some of those, it's been months and months since it's been coated. So I actually learned a ton about just longevity and how long you get kind of the fun benefits, the slickness, the ease of wash. I learned a lot from that, which that was a very enlightening wash that I did the other day. I learned a lot from because my car, and I also learned that it's literally like a patchwork quilt. It's very, very interesting.
Yeah.
Good morning, Thomas.
So another question on plexiglass. So this is a great question. So how would you polish plexiglass? What about buying new plexi and then PPFing it?
Yeah. So this is from Amber. So Bob, you answered this before she asked. So tell us again, what would be the best way to take care of the plexiglass?
Well, I mean, for sure, over the years, we've used Ultracoat Polish, or UCP 1987, as a really nice plexiglass polish. So that's the polish that we would recommend. And I mean, sure, you could PPF plexiglass. Why wouldn't you? Right? Just like you'd PPF a car. If you want to put PPF on it, I'm sure it would, add to the durability. Yeah. Because plexiglass, it's soft, so it scratches. Mm-hmm. Right. So, I mean, if you put PPF over it, it should, help maintain the clarity of the plexiglass. Of course, you have to do both sides if it's a window, right? Because you scratch the inside and the outside. Yeah. Like, typically, we see plexiglass on golf cart. What else? Yeah. Right? Yeah. In general.
Golf cart, side by sides, all that kind of, all that good recreational stuff, right?
Yep. Dave's migrating.
No, I just closed the curtain a little bit because it was a little sun shining on me.
Kirby says, Dave, I found that a heated 5-gallon bucket with Absolute clears up nicely.
Hang on, let me go back just a little bit to the plexiglass
one.
Yeah. You can look at some information. I think it's pretty hard to do on a flat surface, but a lot of times with plexiglass and plexiglass manufacturers is they use heat. So to basically, you could take those scratches out. I wouldn't do this on a finished product, but you might grab yourself some plexiglass and scratch it up, and then and I don't think like a really serious hot air dryer will do it, but they use like a torch. Mm-hmm. And it's a bit of an art, but you can actually just like wave the like a propane oxypropane torch over it, and then it just melts the surface, and those scratches go away.
Okay, so, I can't wait for this one. Some detailer is going to pull out a blowtorch and burn up his side by side.
Yeah, try it out first. I've done some plexiglass work over the years. It's a fine line between making the scratch go away and watching new bubbles arise on the surface.
Yeah.
Right. So it's not easy to do, but I think somebody with some practice and talent might be able to get a decent result that way.
Keyword.
It might also work.
And talent. If you don't have either,
All right.
Kirby says, Dave, I found that a heated 5-gallon bucket with Absolute clears up nicely. Nice rinseless process. I'm always a fan of hot water.
Yeah, we use I use warm water too.
Yeah.
I mean, especially in the winter. I don't bother in the summer.
Yeah.
I like warm water.
Me too.
Yeah.
Chris Kemp, this is a great question. Chris Kemp says, using stout, I've noticed that the pad doesn't get very crispy like Legend does the next day. Why is that, Dave?
So my thoughts are because the stout product is actually following the contours of the fiber better than Legend does. Legend kind of like bridges the gaps and gets hard, and then stout is kind of like following into the contours, and it's just it will get slightly crunchy if you put a lot of product on there. You can tell that it's drying on the surface, and it does get very repellent. I mean, if you take that surface and water, try to wet it again, it's like it won't wet.
Right.
So the coating's on there, it's doing its job, but I just don't think it's the physics of the surface are just different enough that it's not getting crunchy.
Yeah. And remember we said, it's all new materials, right? So the coating, all the raw materials have advanced in the last 5 years. And so it's totally different, ingredients than what Legend was made from. So it's just different. I've noticed that just in the coating industry as a whole, you rarely see the crunchiness coming. So, but like Dave said, if you take that applicator the next day and run it underwater, it's not absorbing anything.
Yep.
Right.
It's pretty wild. Pretty wild.
So here's another great kind of assistance question. So I'll let you take this one.
All right. SP3 says, I coated my Ford F-150 this weekend with stout. Everything went well, except for 2-door panels streaked on me. I don't know if it was too cold or we left it on a little too long. Left it on for 1 minute. So here's the deal. Anytime you're trying and this is not just for PNS, anytime you're trying a new coating, you have to check their install instructions. Like, this is so important. There's so many different coatings on the market. And I've seen this where people just think they know how to do a coating, so they do every coating the same. They're all so different. So in our install video, it says 20 to 30 seconds, and absolutely do not leave it on more than 30 seconds. It's a rough go if you leave it on over 30 seconds for sure. So sounds great until we got to the 1 minute part. If it's too cold, that could have been a little bit of an issue, but generally speaking, I haven't found where stout really struggles in either hot or cold, just because the flash time is so short that it's kind of taken that element out of it a little bit. So it sounds like you just left it on a little bit too long. So no more than 30 seconds for sure. The other thing is that you want to make sure you're wiping it off. And when I'm doing classes, I say, like, wipe it off like you mean it, right? Because there's a lot of videos too that I saw people that were kind of like lightly trying to wipe it off, like they were trying to be gentle with the coating. And you really don't need to be, right, Dave? Because once the coating's on the surface, it reacts with the paint the way it's supposed to. And what we're wiping off is like the carrier solvents, right? So you can't you literally physically cannot wipe off too much of the coating. So you gotta wipe it off, polish the surface. Don't worry about, you don't have to be light-handed hoping that you're leaving behind more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a bit of, I'm determined. I'm calling it like it's a one-to-one relationship. So what happens is you get a monomer of the coating and it sticks to a spot, and then you get another one, and it's like, they're not going to stick on top of each other.
Right.
You get this coating, it attaches to the surface, right. And then what happens is those molecules that are hanging off then cure to each other. So you get a 3D effect. Mm-hmm. So you basically, when you apply it, it attaches to the surface. Very difficult to remove. Not impossible, but very difficult to remove.
Yeah. Yeah. So shorten your time to 20 to 30 seconds and, make sure you're getting it all off there. So, but otherwise it's a super easy install. Anna, seems like Seattle is the warm spot, finally at 29 degrees.
I think she's got us beating Vegas today too. So
Yeah. All right. This is a great question too. Travis says, this past weekend, I tried using Crystal Wash and Frostbite to wash my truck. After I dried the truck, I noticed that the plastics looked dull and chalky. So I've not ever had this happen, but what I'm wondering is if the plastics were a little bit dry to start with, which we've always kind of said that is if your plastics are dry or old or sun faded, have any oxidation, you could have some, struggle with them. So my advice would be to try to treat them with something like Dynamic or Natural Finish, Full Send. That should clear up any issues, but that's the only time I've really seen there be an issue. Yes, Bob.
Well, Sid, we've talked about this. I think, Crystal Wash we've had for how many years, Dave? 35, 40? Yeah. And, have had a lot of practical experience using it. And one of the things I'm always concerned about when detailers use something like Crystal Wash is they get too casual about it. And realistically, Crystal Wash is for the paint. So, if molding and trim is in great shape, you're not going to have an issue.
Right.
But the issue is when, the trim is stressed, like Sydney said, where it's older or slightly oxidized. It can be susceptible to staining, even with a general purpose cleaner, So with Crystal Wash, it's not just an open book where you can just safely use it on every car, every day, all over every car. We got to use our street sense as detailers and walk up to the car and go, okay, this car's 8 years old, it's 2 years old, or whatever. It's been exposed to extreme weather. You have to be careful with the product. And anytime you're using an acid-based product like that, it kind of goes without saying that there's a risk.
Yeah.
And I think, we've run into this before as well, where, you may have had some oils that were on the surface of that plastic trim that were kind of hiding what was underneath. And so, that's a pretty aggressive cleaning step. So you're going to remove everything.
Yeah.
So it wouldn't be totally unexpected if you, like you said, you have a little bit of an older surface and it does that. I don't think I've ever seen it on newer trim.
Yeah, I don't see it on new cars or newer cars, but
yeah, I don't have any problem with it at all. And I also think, I do have some older vehicles that I've used it on, but I've also treated that plastic with, dynamic or full send. And so I don't, if the trim is in good shape, I don't have any issue. One way that you can protect against this without making it too crazy of a process is if you have the vehicle and it has old trim that you're worried about, you can just wet the trim down before you use Crystal Wash so that it's not attaching to it dry. So pressure washer, grab your sponge out of your Absolute, wet all the trim down, then apply your Crystal Wash to the paint. And then you won't have to worry about any overspray or something. So that's kind of a quick way to block the Crystal Wash out of taking full effect on the trim. So I would try that.
Very good. All right, here we go. We are on the Fat Joe tracker.
Fat Joe. I know where Fat Joe is, thanks to Hans.
We had dealers on 2 continents for Fat Joe's. It's getting out of hand.
Frank says, thank you, Dave. That was obviously to one of the answers earlier.
Yeah.
CS Auto Tech says, does interior cleaner, so I'm assuming he means Express, have any UV protection or antibacterial or antiviral in it?
Yeah, loaded question. So we do put some UV protectant in the off-road line because we feel like the what would be an interior, the vinyl sort of things, are going to get exposed to light much more likely. However, on express interior, we do not. UV is filtered out by glass completely, and so it doesn't really have a purpose there. And then my second part is, well, you're taking it all off for the most part. I mean, so you're going to get some some maybe a little bit absorbing into the vinyl because they are somewhat porous, but it's going to be a minuscule amount. And so it's just, it's been something that I've, just said, no, I don't think it's needed. Antibacterial and antiviral is definitely an EPA term that no one's allowed to use without, some special permitting to say that sort of thing. So, I mean, we certainly have a little preservative in the product, but it's not enough to do anything to a surface. However, I will tell you that I just have read several articles now how, the antibacterial soaps and that sort of stuff are no better than a regular soap, especially, and I'm talking about in washing hands and that sort of stuff. I think is kind of a fascinating thing. The thing about soap is, you're washing and you do the job of getting it off your skin, and then you rinse it and it goes down the drain, and that's easily as good as trying to kill some of the viruses and things, especially like norovirus, which evidently are really difficult to kill. Yeah. Things like, even bleach are barely effective on those. So soap's good, but in that case, you're talking about a whole washing and rinsing process to clean them off.
Yeah. Very good. All right. Dimitri says, good morning, guys. How are the cleaning wipes going? Are you still planning on making a smaller pack?
Someday on the smaller pack. The cleaning wipes are going great. We are batching up another run of them as we speak, right, Bob?
Yeah, I know last week the guys were working on them. So yeah, we as soon as we run a batch, we sell out of them, and then we got to run another one. So yeah, it's good. They're going well.
Yeah, I would classify them as a success, and we're really enjoying them. And again, if you have a creative use for a wipe that you haven't seen on Bead Maker and Coffee before, chime in. Let us know what you're doing with.
I had to put a tub in my house because I kept finding the one from the shop in the house. And so finally I just had to open a second one and put it inside the house. But man, we use those things for things I would have never thought. Like I use them all the time. So great. All right. Anna says, I couldn't get the time off for MTE or miss class for work. I'm hoping for 2026. Well, we're hoping you can make it next year as well.
Yep, definitely.
Andy Stilley says, Sid on class. I really got a huge kick out of the really green new guys that had so many questions. I enjoyed watching them learn while doing things with everything from the carpet trio to polishing. Yes. We did.
What's really
things about training is we get such a variety of folks, and we had a student that was 16 and he was fantastic. And those are the cool things to see, that detailing is going to keep going into the future. And there are a lot of people out there who are just into what we do. It's great.
Yeah.
I think that anytime you have a person that's learning something new, they have fresh eyes on it, which is really enjoyable, because sometimes they'll go like, well, why don't you do this? And that's always, and then sometimes you go like, well, because I've tried this and this and this, and, it didn't work. Or sometimes you just have to say, that seems like a decent idea. Let's give it a shot, So it's really nice to have people come to things with fresh things.
Yeah, I love it. So unfortunately, Sarah Riles will not be at MTE.
Yeah, bummer.
I think I'm thinking of Jessica saying that she was going to show off her new PNS bag. Jessica Rook. I think I'm thinking of her saying she couldn't wait to show off the new PNS bag at MTE, because both Jessica and Sarah run one. Good morning, Details Official.
Good morning.
THD. I can't, that's a lot of letters. Living in Illinois and our large salting on the road, what do you recommend as a good wash process? I'm lucky to have a heated garage and want to have a good routine to keep the salt down.
So anytime you can improve the solubility of the liquid that you're using is going to help with salt removal. So if you have, salt with water with already a lot of solids in it, it's not going to try and, it's not going to be able to dissolve those salts as well. So, using a DI or an RO water is going to help. Hot water is always going to help.
Yeah.
Right. Because you get much more solubility in salts with hot water. And then, I'm somewhat at a loss for the products that are, you're adding something to the water to make the salt dissolve into it better. It's counterintuitive to me. In my mind, on how the process of dissolving salts works in water. So maybe a little wetting would help, but that's why we just don't have it in the PNS arsenal, because I just don't understand how that would work.
Yeah,
so they interpret that right. Less concentrated chemical as opposed to more, because we want really the solubility of the water to help us out there more than just applying a soap or a particular cleaner.
So there's an interesting way to think about how cleaners work. And one of the things is solvent. Water is the most amazing solvent in the universe, right? And so, but it has limitations. It has functions that, like surface tension and that sort of stuff, but it's got great polar characteristics that help, pull salts out of and dirt out of a system. But what you're doing with your soaps and your cleaners is the way that I like to think about it is that you're actually altering the water to do the job, right? So you're adding these soaps so that the water is now able to be the solvent that you want it to be. And so I just think that's a great way to think about it. Water's doing most of the work, and what you're doing is you're changing the surface tension, you're adding properties that might make it, more and less soluble for different soils, and into an emulsifier, but it's water that's doing all the work. And you're just trying, and I mean, look at like steamers, right? Steamers are amazing because of what you're doing. You're adding energy to the water, a huge amount of energy to the water. And then the water, so that you can kind of take the place of some of the soaps and cleaners with your steam, because you're just adding a ton of energy. And a lot of times with the soaps and cleaners, what you're doing is you're reducing the surface energy so that the water is now, able to, accept more materials in. It's an interesting concept of how you, how to think about a cleaner.
Yeah. And so, I live in a state where they do the salt brine on the roads for de-icing. And so I deal a lot with salt. And I wash in my garage. Obviously, when it's freezing, you can't really wash outside, right? So, the other day when I was washing my car inside, I was able to use a foam and everything, but I can't normally do that at home. So normally for the cars with salt on them, I just use, like EnviroClean or Crystal Wash, and I put that as a pre-treatment. Then I just wash with Absolute like I normally do. And that's been my process forever. And that seems to work for me. So, but I don't get too hung up on, I don't get too hung up on it. Like it, just those simple kind of add-ins usually takes care of it for me as far as the salt goes. If I have a vehicle coming in that has massive, like, say they've come from, the mountains where they've got massive salt, and they have massive salt built up. They haven't, driven forever. Then, usually I have them run it through the car wash, because there's nothing like high pressure, hot water blasting it off, honestly. There's nothing at home that you can do that is like that. So when I see those cars that are absolutely, coated in salt, you got to blast it off there.
So we are at the kind of the hour mark. I know we were going to go a little longer today, 15 minutes more. So we're kind of getting to speed round.
Yeah,
I want to remind everybody, hey, make sure you smash that like button and the follow and check us out and join the Bead Maker Lounge. I want to get all those in, but we're going to go speed rounding here. So we'll kind of blast as quick as we can and cover stuff.
Anna, I enjoy Dave talking the science of the products and why they do certain things. Yes, for sure. Anna, y'all all got me excited for TRCMA. We're excited for it too.
Yep, we are.
Angela, it's cold in Tacoma. It's 22 right now, but it's starting to warm up next Tuesday, just in time for you to leave. But I guess you're going to Angela's going.
Angela, she's on the water there because she does a lot of the yachts and stuff. So it's even colder down the water in Seattle.
I can imagine. Andy says he ordered a bulletproof vest to wear for when he goes to Mike and Cookies with his training voucher.
Andy, good luck. You're going to be great, man. It's going to go perfect. Yeah.
Chris, it's -19. That's just too much. That's too negative.
Too negative.
Amber, California coast here, very dry and cold at night. Frost on the rooftops.
Yeah.
B. Riley has a question for Dave. I've noticed that Legend has the least amount of scratching marring of any coating that he's ever used. What makes that happen?
Well, it's just a function of coatings, and is that one of the things you measure is the mar and slip. So it's just the way. I noticed there was another question I thought was kind of interesting coming up on this, as far as what creates a slippery surface. So and so we'll go back into that a little bit more. But anytime you have a slippery surface, it's less likely to scratch. And so the more slippery we can make something, the better. So basically, because it's really slippery.
Yeah. And Legend was a very high solid coating, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And then we were doing Defender on it too. So we were modifying the surface in addition to that.
Yeah. All right. First from Puerto Rico, referring to Amber, my cousin used something called
Brilliance.
It's like I'm going to murder that word. That is for acrylic as a polish on his helmet. Since I don't deal with that, you got to do some research.
And my answer would be, and I think Dave and Bob will both agree, using a product for what it's designed for is always a winning effort. So if that's a designated acrylic polish, that might just be your way to go. All right. Good morning from 3D Detroit. Yes.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Family. And we're just getting some positive responses here. So this is great. And now we have one that's a great question. It's one that's always asked, which is, do you need to dilute carpet bomber? And the answer is,
I would.
100% yes. I love that, Dave.
The detailer in me.
It's 8 to 1.
We'll sit this one out.
Don't listen to Sydney. She just uses it straight. 8 to 1. Yes.
Yeah. Here's the deal. I mean, these are commercial level products. So there's more cleaner in carpet bomber than there needs to be. So diluting it is great.
And I'm kidding. I do dilute it. It comes out of my Chemtrol.
It was one of the first products we put in their Chemtrol. So yeah. She's legit there. So.
All right. So following up to B. Riley's question from Legend is, does Stout have those same or better characteristics of the
Legend
of harder to scratch and all that? So Stout, what is kind of the difference in characteristics between Legend and
It is even better. You end up with a much better surface than Legend. You get better contact angles, better index of refraction, very slippery. And, in this case, we've said, we've kind of eliminated the defender step because the surface you get from Stout technically is better than what you get with, a fresh coating of Stout is better than what you would end if you put Defender over the top. Defender's still a great maintenance product because it's gonna bring it back, but it's a better surface to start with.
Yeah. And Bob, you have Stout on the hood of your Range Rover. So what are some of the characteristics that stand out to you that are different?
Oh, I mean, the hydrophobics are insane. It's just the hydrophobics, the show. I mean, literally after you wash the vehicle, I mean, the optics and the gloss is pretty incredible. I think those are two big standout, different improved characteristics over Legend. It's definitely extreme hydrophobics and gloss is better, and slickness as well. I mean, back when we had Legend, we were very, very impressed with that. Now this is just, the improved optics are crazy.
Yeah. And from a detailer standpoint, I'm just starting to kind of be able to play with the cars that have Stout on them. So, I got to wash. So Anthony Fisher from the Rag Company, his wife's 4Runner was the one that we did the install video on, right? And that was back in August. And so I was able to wash that 5 months later, just about. It had never been washed since we put the Stout on it. And, so now I'm starting to be able to wash cars in real time, that have Stout on them. And I will say it's a completely different experience, really, really, really nice wash experience for sure. So not as much, contamination's not building up as much. It's not sticking as much. It's just they're really, really easy to wash. So, I'm excited to see that more, but definitely a totally different wash experience than even Legend. So yeah.
And I'm like you said, I got the quilt going on my truck, right? Because we've used it for training. So I got Inspiration Classic, I've got Legend.
Yeah.
But on the two doors we put the Stout on, it's just a markedly different water reaction, beading, dirt shedding. And I'm not quite as bad as Anthony, but I don't wash my truck regularly either. And so it's amazing when you drive it for about 3 weeks and you see, and I'm on a dirt road, how the dirt just clings differently to those two panels than it does anything else. So it's really a unique experience.
Yeah.
All right.
Kirby says, if at MTE, grab Mike Phillips' ear on polishing plexiglass. Oh, it must be grab Mike Phillips. He must know a lot about polishing plexiglass.
He's done a couple classes on polishing plastic and plexiglass for classic cars. So I've seen Mike do that over the years. And unfortunately, I haven't been in the class, so I don't know much about what he does.
All right. Amber, Dave, what do you enjoy the most about the chemical development process? What parts do you dislike? And who is your sounding board?
Well, I just love the creativity, it's kind of, I think what's happened over time is I've just kind of got a feel for, how these materials work. And so putting them together in different, and making them do the things that I want is I think some of the most fun. I enjoy the process. It's an interesting thing. I know we got to go. So this is a long answer, but I'll try and cut it short. I know that the part of just thinking about it, it's not always actively mixing things together and go, how'd that work? You end up with a failure and you go, okay, it might be 2 or 3 days where I don't get back to that. But over that time, it's like I'm thinking about it. And I really enjoy that process. Not much to dislike. And then, I've been very fortunate to have so many people that help give me input on, what's working and what's not working through every phase of the process. So, there's tons of people that are my sounding board.
Yep.
All right. So if you saw the video from last week, you know that the car that we had, the orange Charger, that was actually Jason Carl's car. So thanks for being in the class and letting us use your car.
Yep. It would be hard to beat Stout. I can't imagine something being better. B. Riley, GM all. Good morning, I think that meant. Amber Kirby, thanks for the tip. I won't be there, but I could reach out for sure.
I think there's probably a video out there, so you might just kind of take a look for that.
Yeah. Jason says the pumpkin is over the top.
I think he's referring to his car, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Is that what we call that, the pumpkin?
This one's for Bob. Gabriel says, any new labels, empty bottles for Triple S or natural finish or the pad washer label? What's the update on that?
I have no control over labels anymore. I'm sidestepping that question, just like I do with every label question.
Moving on, Amber says that our brilliance. All right, here we go. Here's a great question.
Amber, more questions. What's happening when Defender soaks into the bead maker? Is a new product made of sorts, new properties? Some is greater than other parts.
So when you're layering coatings like that, certainly you would need to wait for bead maker to cure, and then you're getting a different surface for Defender to attach to. May or may not be a better option or not. I'm not a big fan of the layering. I'm kind of a fan of using one or the other.
She's probably referring to the wash clay seal process, right? And that's the only time that I recommend doing this. And that's what I always tell people, that when we're doing the wash clay seal, because you're using bead maker as your clay lube in that process, right?
Okay, so you're not curing.
No, because then you're soaking the Defender into the bead maker before the bead maker cures.
Right.
So, but I just had a gentleman send me a question about this yesterday, and it came up on a video too. And the only time I recommend using both products is in the wash clay seal process. Otherwise, it's not really necessary. And the reason there is because we don't want to use Defender as the clay lube. And so we're using bead maker, which, has a little bit more lubricity. And then if you apply the Defender within that 30 to 90 minutes, then it soaks into the bead maker, and then you get the benefits of both. But otherwise, if doing like a dry process, it's just really not necessary. I would just go straight to Defender.
Yeah, it's like the chemistry between bead maker and Defender. They're kind of like cousins.
Yeah,
right. They're related.
Yeah.
So you're gonna get a little bit of a mixture of both when you do that sort of thing.
Yeah. So this next question, do you plan on EOL?
End of life any product. So
end of life.
I think the answer, Bob, is we're always looking at what we're doing and what we have in the inventory and making sure that what we have is current and effective and viable in the market. Does that mean we're getting rid of stuff or not? I don't know.
Yeah, I think the official terminology is SKU rationalization. So yeah, I mean we have we definitely, you know, we're trying to be more efficient. Obviously, you know, a company like us, you tend to, you know, just accumulate a ton of products. So yeah, we've got some end of life products. We're going to end some products probably this year. I'm sure they won't be that impactful because if we sell a ton of them, you know, we're not going to stop selling them. So it's really probably, you know, lower volume products that will be discontinued. Yeah.
And if you look at end of life, guys, I mean, a perfect example may be a product like Stout comes out and it takes the place of another product that we're already making. And so the only reason end of life is we're already making a superior product that fills that same role, and redundancy really isn't our friend. So we try to, you know, keep it clean and concise.
Yeah.
All right.
Gabriel, Dave, what do you look for in slickness and coatings when in nature, like plants are rough, hairy when they bead? So what do you look for slickness and coatings?
Yeah, I don't know what
do you look for? Why do you
Definitely don't want them to be hairy.
Well,
I think
what he's talking about is this thing called
a car, and they were hairy. It'd probably be the last coating she did.
Yeah.
Yeah, what he's talking about is a thing called the lotus effect, where you have basically like a lotus leaf where the water will just roll off the top completely, and that is to do with some. I'm seeing that it's saying I have bad connection. That has to do with you know, some physics of surfaces, and I think it's an interesting question. I love the question because I was just thinking about this myself. A lot of things have better flow and laminar flow when they have a texture to them, like shark skin and water, and there's all sorts of things that actually work better when they're not absolutely smooth. In our case, you know, we've kind of got a situation where they're smooth, and we deal with, you know, lowering the friction on a smooth surface, and it would be cool to try to do it another way. I'm not sure, and it's in my it's something that I'm kind of thinking about, but that's, you know, that's what he's talking about, the lotus effect.
Yeah.
Cool. So Amber says, hey, thanks for the info to First from Puerto Rico. And then we have thanks for the response to my coding question from Steve Pearson. Appreciate the insight. Here's a good one, Dave, and this is a very short answer question. Should we be wearing a respirator when we install coatings?
I'm, you know, at the risk of I don't think so. You know, it's the volume is just so low. You know, it's not gonna be serious. There are ways to test the atmosphere. So but I would say if you're worried about it, just get a fan and have it blow the other direction, because there's mechanical ways to deal with that without dealing with a respirator. And respirators technically need training and all sorts of stuff to use them correctly. Yeah. So yeah, I don't think so.
And if you're going to spray them and put them in an aerosol gun or a paint gun, then that's a whole different conversation. And then
oh yeah, much more volume then.
We'll change the conversation. All right, we put film on Venturis on boats, but it does distort what you are looking at a bit. So
yeah,
that was a response to the PPF on plexiglass. Yeah.
Okay. Amber, don't worry, Dave. I won't hold you responsible for plexifires. So. All right. Yeah, Dave, flame polishing works amazing, and for the right plastics. We used to do it with acrylic flow meters where we needed the optical clarity. It's definitely a fine balance. Yep. So probably not one I'd want to risk, given that I'm a complete, absolute novice if I was doing it. So,
Alan, thinking that we all synced our office furniture.
We did. Yes. It's called staying in the same hotel.
Dimitri, what do you think will be the next big thing for the detailing market? Like it was with polymers and ceramic. Now it's rinseless. What's going to be the next big?
Always a surprise, isn't it?
Yeah.
See what people come up with. You know, most of them we have not really followed. A lot of them is, you know, verbiage, I consider.
Yeah. You know what the big one is now that's I mean, I'll say it, it's driving me nuts, is this whole pH situation.
Yeah. Yeah.
Enough said. We're moving on. What's the best microfiber towel for wiping down stout? Sid, what's your favorite microfiber for that?
So, coding with Delaney last week, here's what I found. So I know that like the Pearl Weave is a nice coating removal towel. It is not the best with stout. And Delaney kind of had trouble with it. I use them, but then I also realized that I kind of struggle through it. And so honestly, the best ones I think are like the Minor 365s for wipe 1. And then I like a Creature for wipe 2, but you could also just use a different color of 365. So I think those are the best because they absorb enough of it. The Pearl can tend to not be super absorbing and it kind of pushes it around a little bit. So I noticed that like she loved stout much more after I gave her a Minor versus a Pearl Weave. So I'm going to have to go with a solid 365 edgeless. Yeah.
Dave shows you got cut off. And I will say, we've never had great success with a Pearl Weave with a lot of our coating product line. And so we've always used
Classic's really the only, but I mean, Classic is great with any towel. So yeah.
All right, we're getting down here toward the end. Do you recommend using absolute rinseless to help remove salt?
Nope.
I think because of its dilution ratio, Dave said there's a lot of water left in there, but
I mean, I wash every car with salt on it with absolute, but I don't think that helps the breakdown in the salt. I think normally I use a pre-spray of some sort. Amber, Sydney, you started talking about this leveling versus removing or wiping off. Level is gentle spread out, wipe off, removing unbonded coating. So my point here real quick was just, I've seen a lot of people in videos and they're just using like a real light touch and they're, kind of nervous to wipe it off. And so during the leveling, you're kind of, normal pressure, but I wouldn't even say light pressure. It's just normal pressure. You're going to level over the surface. And then you're going to go back and wipe it off. And I just mean like wipe it like you mean it. You don't need to be careful. I keep seeing these videos where people are being so gentle handed and like such a light touch. That's going to come back to bite you. And I would say that's going to come back to bite you with any coating. But it's just this new trend that I see people, doing videos and they're like, don't push too hard. You're removing too much coating. That's not the way they work. You're not wiping off something that's not bonded to a surface within that time frame. So that's all I meant was just level it like normal pressure, and then make sure you wipe it all off. Just don't use it light-handed was all I meant by that. And if you watch the install video, I think that will make more sense.
Yeah. And so here's one on Inspiration Fabric Protectant. If you still have some Inspiration Fabric Protectant, you have got some solid gold there because we obviously haven't had it out for a little while. We always recommend, again, use a product what it's designed for. Bob, what's your thought on using it on fabrics other than automotive interior fabrics and carpet?
I mean, the concept is solid. I mean, it works. I mean, obviously, one of the things that's really nice people don't understand is that the density of fabric on an automotive seat is, say, typically much different than household fabrics and stuff like that. So, fabric protectants tend to work better on denser fabrics. So sometimes if you just put it on like office furniture or something like that, as cloth, it's so porous. Customers don't think that the fabric protector is working because the water soaks in, but it's because the fabrics are so open. There's no, it's not going to build a net there. So, it's misleading to think that, well, there's not water beading, so it's not working. Right. So it's still encapsulating the fabric. It's still providing some, resistance to dirt, that type of thing. So there's no reason it wouldn't work.
Right? And so this is the follow-up. Durability is hey, if it's carpet you walk on all the time at the front entry, it's going to last a whole lot less long than if it's over in the corner.
All about wear and tear.
It's all about abrasion.
So about abrasion. All right, so we're coming down the end. Is Inspiration Coating Towel a TRC minor? It seems different.
Nope, those were minors.
That's a minor. Are your products going to be for sale at House of Rags in the future? We never say never on working with a partner, but at this point, we don't have anything in the works to sell with House of Rags. So the answer right now is no, they're not available there. Has P&S considered developing a product like Salt's Gone? That's one of those things where it's a niche product. I'm not saying that it's a no, but I don't know that it's been high on our priority list. We've talked about it over the years. Bob, what's your thought on a product like that?
I mean, I got to tell you, we've talked about it, but it's never been a serious discussion. So
yeah, and 3D just came out with one.
I don't know what Salt's Gun is, so
yeah.
I mean,
3D just released a product like that.
They did, okay.
Last year, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah,
and it's pretty good.
Is it selling?
I have no
That's
idea.
That's usually what excites a company about a product. If they're selling a ton of it, then
Yeah, I have no idea their sales on it. I just know they released it. I have it. But
and
honestly,
they released it in the spring last year after kind of the winter season. So this is really the first year.
Yeah.
So the answer is I don't think we really know how it's going over because this is the first year it's been out during the winter season.
Right.
Why is Defender staining my paint? What am I doing wrong?
Yeah.
That would be an interesting reach out.
I mean, I can tell you amongst the three here and amongst the other, detailers that have been part of all our teams and everything we've done. I mean, we've applied Defender in like the worst conditions, out to sunlight in 100-degree, 110. I've never had Defender stain paint. The only thing I can think, which would paint's oxidized. I mean, that just, you're asking too much out of the product. I've never seen it stain. It's always one of those things. Send pictures, right? I don't know. Hey guys, I'm gonna jump off here because Dave's pinging me. We got to get to the airport. I'll let you guys close this out.
Safe
thank
travels.
you guys for a great time in Vegas. Good luck this afternoon, right? You guys I wish I was going there, but Dave and I are going to go do a little work at HQ. So
nice.
Talk to you guys a little bit later. Thank you for having Dave and I on.
Yeah, thanks for joining us.
See you guys.
Yeah. I am going to go to the last question on our list, and then we'll come back to another one. So is P&S thinking about coming out with a fabric coating? Well, you just heard Inspiration Fabric Protectant was out. There was, this is an industry-wide thing. Some of the elements that were in there have been either outlawed via VOC compliance, a number of other things. We are still working on finding a fabric coating product that we think meets our standard and that we would be proud to put our name on. So we're always thinking about that. It's just that Dave is continually going through all the options. There's new technology. We just haven't found one that we want to put our name on yet. When we do, we absolutely will have it out. So now we go to the last question of the day. And this one also belongs to Sarah Riles. What's the difference between rehab and UPC? A ton. I'll cover UPC and Sydney can cover rehab. So Ultra Coat Polish is a long-term product for us. It has got a higher solvency in it. So it's got an older school mineral spirit base to it. And it has both abrasive and protection in it. And it has our Ultra Coat paint sealant, which is an amino functional silica paint sealant combined with a polish level product. So it's a lighter, less aggressive as far as removing defect. It will remove light defect and material, but it is certainly not going to do heavy correction for you. And then you got rehab, which, is really a abrasive product that is new school. It is in what we would call a water suspension. So it's more lotiony. There's no real volume of mineral spirit in it. It doesn't separate as much. It is designed for use with the new DA pads and systems, which has a whole different level of heat and aggressiveness. And it is designed to do severe correction all the way down to finish out and polish. So much more ability to do corrective action and really make an impact on the paint for you. Did I get it?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. Got it.
Wow. That was a good show. We had a lot of people on today. I want to thank everybody for diving in with the questions and the Q&A. I'm glad we went hot and didn't do the entry because we never would have got through it all. So
So thank you everyone for joining us. We will be back in 2 weeks, but on our normal Monday for Bead Maker and Coffee. That will be the Monday right when we get back from MTE. So we'll have lots to talk about there. But please make sure that you are following all of our social media channels. We'll post all kinds of stuff from MTE. And then as well, swiped a bunch of stuff on my computer. And so we'll be back with all of that. And then if you're not already in the Beadmaker Lounge on Facebook, make sure that you join that, as we are going to start doing more giveaways and specials and stuff for, members of the lounge. So you want to make sure that you are a part of that. And I think that's it. Keith and I are going to go out and visit some distributors here in Vegas before we both jump on planes and go back home. So another busy day, and we will go see Bob and Dave off here shortly. And yeah, thanks everyone for being here today. It's been great.
Yeah, no, been great. It was a great sales meeting for us. Great, I think we got a busy year ahead of us, and we're going to have a good year. Last thing I will say is come see us at Mobile Tech. We would love to connect with you there. We are both in. Sid and I are in on Tuesday. She has a board meeting with the IDA. We have a training event for some customers on Wednesday. Thursday, we're at Education Day. Friday, Saturday, we're at the show. And we have a special event on Friday night at the IDA award ceremony, and some cool stuff happening for PNS. So please, if you can make it to that event, make it to it. Those will be live streamed as well. So until we see you in 2 weeks, have a great couple of weeks.